Hello, this is a little video to show you the first stage of the deployment of the new tools that allow moderation of users' changes to their contact details. First of all, the facility has to be switched on. So it's switched on here in HOPS config details in the system menu. Edit. And then way down here, underneath the attribute allow saving of postal addresses is a new option. Changes to postal addresses require moderation. Set to no by default, so we'll set to yes and save. And now I'll try and make a change to my user details as a user, and you'll see that it requires moderation. So here's my user details page, which I got just by clicking my name in the top corner. I'll go edit my details. And you can see here in the address area, there's my current address. A little extra note here saying changes to addresses are processed before they appear on your profile, just to set users' expectations that it's not going to be updated immediately. So I imagine that I've moved to 35 Park Street, Canterbury, Kent, CT6 5RT. And I'll press save in the normal way. And it won't be updated on my user profile. There's my address still, 1 High Street, Ashford, Kent, but there's a little note saying change initiated below, and that's what I've initiated the change to. But in everywhere else in the system, it still believes that this is my address. It works in exactly the same way if I try to change a user's details as a head of department or as a manager. If I go to all staff list, and I'll change Danny Adamson's address, edit. And again here, changes to addresses are processed before they appear on the user's profile. At the moment his address is ABCD. I'll change his address to 1234. Press save. And it's still ABCD at the moment. Change initiated below. Address change initiated to 1234. Now, if I put myself back in the role of the administrator, if I've got permission 397, then I'll get this reminder when there are changes to be accepted, and I can click on awaiting acceptance to get taken to the appropriate page. Or it's actually a tab in the all user details page, so I can also go community, all staff list, and there's a changes waiting tab, which is the same place. So all of the changes here are listed out, what the user's current address is, what it's been proposed to change it to, who it was that it was proposed by. So in this case it was by Danny Scroggins, in this case it was by the user themselves, and for each one you can either click on accept or reject. And the page goes red or green to highlight what you've selected. If you leave it in the middle on no action, then no action will be taken. So I'll accept my Danny Scroggins one, and I'll reject the Danny Adamson one. Press update, and it's updated. The records have been updated. So now if I have a look at my Danny Scroggins user profile, my address is now 34 Park Street. If I go and have a look at Danny Adamson, his address won't have changed. Still ABCD, and no changes waiting. Now it is possible for more than one change to be queued up. So if I edit Danny Adamson again, I'm going to try and change his address to 1234, and it'll get queued up. And I could come along and try and change it again, or the user could come along themselves and try and change it again to 5789. And it'll just queue them up as many times as a change is submitted. And if you notice this time when I'm on the edit screen, this message in red here is highlighting to me the fact that there are already changes waiting to be accepted, and I don't have to make them again because I mistakenly believe that they haven't been processed just because my old address is still appearing. But because several changes have been submitted on the same user, if I now go to the acceptance page, you'll see a red highlight to say this user has more than one proposed address change. So then you can obviously apply a look to see which one you're going to accept. If you press accept on all, it processes the list in order. So it'll accept that one, and then it'll override it with that one, and then it'll override it with that one. But I should imagine if you've got 3 from the same user, it's going to be more appropriate to accept one and reject the other 2. No one gets any email notifications or anything from this acceptance system. So I'll accept these 3 changes. Obviously the last one will prevail. There's one more permission to tell you about. If I go into permissions, permission number 396, I'll allocate it to myself individually, which of course you'll never ever do. .396 allows a bypass of the approval for address changes. So it means that if I've got 396, I can make address changes and they won't require approval. Just to point out, 397, there's the permission for approving address changes, which it'll be necessary for the person who's going to be doing the approving to have. So I'll give myself 396. And I'll go and try, and I'll just do mine, but I could do any users. Change my details again. I'll just put a Z on the end of my address. And it's been accepted immediately because I've got 396. Now, there is a possibility that somebody could make a proposed address change who doesn't have 396 and it'll wait in the queue. And then after that's happened, someone with 396 comes along and changes the address. Well, if that happens, it is highlighted on the acceptance screen that what's being proposed is actually older than the user's then current address. And again, you know, the person will have to look and work out what is the correct, most latest one. I've only done it on addresses so far. It's been a total nightmare. Hopefully I'll get on to doing it on some of the other contact details fields in the near future. If you've got any comments, please let me know. Thank you very much. Goodbye.